Everyone. This is the pre-competition webinar for our regional bowling tournaments coming up this Sunday, November 11th. So again, Mike introduced himself. He's our Vice President of Sports. Myself, Senior Director of Competition, and then I'm very pleased that you guys are the first ones to have the pleasure of meeting Zach through the webinar. Zach Cintron is our new sports director. Comes to us from some background with Special Olympics Pennsylvania as well as Southern California. Just started on Monday, so he's getting caught up to speed. And bowling will be one of the sports that will be under his direction as we move forward. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, the basic agenda, we're just going to go over the locations and the assignments as far as who the staff lead is with their contact information, as well as which counties will be at the different venues. Just go over the general overall schedule, talk about some registration information, go over some rules reminders with uniforming, scoring, lane courtesy, that type of thing. Then talk about some just support services, some administration pieces, and then again the advancement of how people, athletes, partners will advance from the regional tournament to the state finals on December 2nd. So here are the locations and the Special Olympics Maryland staff liaisoning at each one of these venues. And to back up, just so you guys know, this will be recorded and or it is being recorded, and we'll also send out the PowerPoint slide deck, so you don't need to take all the notes tonight, as this will be sent out to everyone who registered. So you will have a hard copy of this available to you through electronic email. So at the Gaithersburg location, Melissa Anger is the point lead there from the Special Olympics Maryland staff. Gaithersburg will host Charles, Montgomery, Prince George's counties, as well as the Lower Shore program, and everyone who is competing in unified doubles, all athletes and partners in unified doubles, along with those county programs that were listed there, will all go to Bowl America in Gaithersburg. The next spot we have is Ellicott City. Mike Sarnowski will be the staff lead at that location. That location will host Hartford, Howard, and Baltimore City. Again, that's the Brunswick Zone and Normandy Lanes there in Ellicott City. The third location is Glen Burnie. That is Bowl America in Glen Burnie. Again, that will host Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, Calvert, and St. Mary's counties. Kendall Zetzwitz will be the lead there. And then our last location for the regionals is Frederick. That will be Melissa Kelly. And that location will host Allegheny, Carroll, Frederick, Garrett, and Washington counties. And that is at the Frederick Terrace Lanes there in Frederick, Maryland. Just to be noted, hopefully everyone knows this, but if you don't, Gaithersburg will also be the host for our state championships on December 2nd.
Okay, Steve, two other things just to note on this. Number one, now that you see who the staff lead is at your location, no, you cannot move your county to another venue. But secondly, while we have the staff lead listed there with their phone number in case you have issues or whatever, these regional tournaments are only possible by the incredibly strong support from the area programs that are helping host these at the various locations: Montgomery County and Gaithersburg, Howard County and Ellicott City, Anne Arundel County in Glen Burnie, and Frederick County in the town of Frederick. Really appreciate all the hard work that goes into and that those county programs have put forward. And again, it could not be possible without their support. So don't want to have any kind of misconception when you see the staff leads there. The county programs are really taking the lead on running these events.
Absolutely. Thanks for pointing that out, Mike. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Again, the regional tournament, 11th. Hopefully everyone knows that by now. Around 9 o'clock at each of the locations, the delegation registration will occur. Again, this is a reminder, this is just for head coaches only. Inevitably, we have athletes showing up with their parents and coming in and wanting packets and everything. So just be mindful to let the parents and of athletes and partners know that the head coach will come and pick up the packet. and then meet with the competitors shortly thereafter. We will then go to an opening ceremony right around 10 o'clock at each location. It's very brief as we want to get straight to the competition. Right after the opening ceremony, there will be time for a couple frames to be bowled for warm-ups. Right at 10:30, we'll shut it down, restart the lanes, and the competition will begin. Estimated time of conclusion of the competition will be about 1 o'clock, and then we'll go into awards. Again, that fluctuates depending on the competition and when the athletes finish competing. So it may start a little earlier with the awards presentations on the lanes, but be patient with us as we don't want to disrupt any other bowlers. So we'll wait till some lanes have concluded so that we can start the award ceremonies for those individuals and then move up throughout the day.
Okay. Franco, we'll answer your question that you typed in a slide or two. Okay.
As we go through GMS, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but this is the information that we have through GMS and through the registration process.
That's correct. This is what was entered by your area program, or if a head coach wasn't identified, but I happen to know who the person was or made a good guess, I put it in there. But there were several who, for whatever reason, did not make someone into a head coach after we opened up the games.
So again, those of you who may not just be listening on the phone, we don't have information for a head coach from Allegheny, Baltimore County, or Calvert County. The ones we do have, or at least our best guess, is Anne Arundel with Kate Sheeman, Baltimore City with Linda Baskerville, Carroll with Debbie Sturgeon, Charles with George Hale, Frederick, Ruth Vickers, Garrett, Stu Holt, Harford, Alice Welsh, Howard, Franco Fronte, Lower Shore, Pam Gross, Montgomery, Rich Domross, and Debbie Finkenshire. Prince George's, Katie Chittims, and then St. Mary's, Rob Wright, and Washington, Patsy Boward. So if your name was listed as not having a head coach, please submit that to Zach. He will be receiving those emails by tomorrow evening. And if you have any changes from what those who we did our best guess, or the county made an oops and put somebody in as a head coach who is not, please also send that email to Zach Centron. His email address is on the slide, but again, it's Z as in Zach, last name CINTRON at SOMD.org.
Okay. Cool. Did you want to take this, or did you want me to take this one?
Yeah, if you can do the registration and some of the rules reminders.
Absolutely. Okay. So not a whole lot of changes here for those of you who've been around for a bit, just some re-emphasis on things. So we'll send out by Thursday the registration lists. At this point, we've already divisioned a couple of the venues. We've got a couple more to go. So while we appreciate folks sending in any scratches, really at this point, there's no need to. We'll take care of them on site because we've already got the divisioning underway. And we'll be starting to run reports. So, but we'll send those out to you no later than Thursday night. As you can see, the little section here is it's old. It's not from this year, but this is what the label, name badge, etc., that we'll have for each athlete will look like. And as you can see there, the division number should match with the lane number, or it may be off by one because divisions are assigned essentially to 2 lanes. So that should match up. That should keep things somewhat some of the confusion down. If you're wondering, the -S means singles, a -D means traditional doubles, and a -U means unified. We may have to move some lanes around based on equipment challenges. We're trying at each venue to keep at least 2 lanes unassigned if we can. So just in case there are any equipment problems, we can pick up some the divisions and move them over there, and hopefully with minimal challenges there. Again, head coach, as Steve mentioned before, pick up at registration. Please be sure to tell your family members that you'll pick that up, and then they'll connect with you to get get their information and such. You'll have a name tag for each athlete. We're going to give you 2 sets of those. I don't know what you're going to use with the other set. We just know that folks sometimes like to have another set. You can give it to the family member if you want, so they know what lane in case there's any confusion. It's easier just to give them to you, and you can use them as you see fit. And then scratches, please. We need to have them by the close of registration, which is 9:45 in the morning, because we then have to get them while opening ceremonies is going on. We need to get them to the desk so that they can change the automatic scorekeeper. All the venues that we use have fully automatic scorekeeping there, as I think probably most bowling alleys do now too. So anyhow, they need a little time with that. So please do get that in. If we don't have them, by that time we will be doing a sweep to check at each facility who's there and who's not. And if the athletes aren't there when we start, they will not be able to bowl. We won't be having any additions or such after we move forward with that. So the events are singles, doubles, and unified doubles. Traditional doubles, again, is 2 athletes on a team. Unified doubles is 1 athlete and 1 partner. As a note, I'm not sure that we did this in the past, but in looking at the numbers that we had this year, for both doubles events, traditional and unified doubles, we aren't going to separate the teams based on gender. We will certainly do that for singles, but for doubles, we just don't have enough female teams at the various venues to make that a worthwhile endeavor. Let's see, I'm not sure, Franco, I know that you had the question. So unified doubles, again, is 2 players. So they're already registered. If they aren't in there now, then we're not going to change it at this point. Some reminders there on ramp bowlers, whether they're unassisted, in other words, where they do the bowling entirely by themselves, or they're assisted, where someone at the athlete's direction adjusts the positioning of the ramp. They don't. The assistant doesn't do it on their own. They're doing it always at the athlete's direction. Otherwise, it's the assistant who's bowling, not really the athlete. So whether they're assisted or unassisted, they're going to be mixed in with the rest of the athletes. We don't have separate events for ramp bowling. Based on their averages, it all works out for the most part there. The assisted ramp bowlers have to have their own assistant designated. Also, as is noted down at the bottom, we've gone through, we've looked at all of the comments, everything that folks have put in. If your ramp bowler was designated as utilizing a wheelchair, either in the notes or I personally looked, quite frankly, at the medical for every one of the athletes who are listed as using a ramp to see if they have a wheelchair or any other type of assisted device. There's in every version of the medical form, there's a little check opportunity for that. And if they did indicate that they're using a wheelchair, then they're put as close as we can get to the access point for wheelchairs to get onto the lanes. Doesn't really apply to Ellicott City because of the design of the bowling alley. If you haven't been to Ellicott City, the Normandy lanes, it's a straight shot. There is no step down and then step up, so it's really not relevant there. But we've done that as best we can based on the information that we have available. What's that? There we go. Just some various rules reminders. Again, we're using 100% of 200 handicap, which is standard for tournaments. What that means is that the athlete's average is deducted from 200. So, and then they get that handicap added to their score for every game in there. So it would be for 3 games. Been doing that since 2015. We'll have a little handout, as we have had for a while, to help explain that to any family members who may not understand that. The athletes are still divisioned based on ability level. We don't throw that out the window. There is a little bit more of a stretch with that because we have the handicap taking care of it. But that is all factored in. and it is possible for someone to have to knock down fewer pins and beat the other athlete who knocked down more pins than them because of their average or their handicap with that. Again, we're rolling 3 games. Most of the stuff we shared with you at the beginning of the season, so you should be, and all your athletes should be ready for that. Similarly, we alternating lanes, which is standard in bowling, where the 2 lanes that are side by side, athletes will bowl on one lane, and then their next frame they'll bowl on the other lane, and back and forth, and continuing with that. It is a very rare case, but the tournament chair, the tournament director at that venue, can make the decision to, in some very unique situations, to not do the alternating of the lanes. I don't know that we did that at all last year. We generally want to keep to doing this. And again, athletes should be trained for that. Fouls are going to be called. All the foul lights will be on, and they can be called by the automatic foul light or by a tournament official. So it's rare, but you could actually foul without tripping the alarm or tripping the light there. Bowling assistants. Hopefully everybody is fully aware of this, but just in a nutshell, an athlete who is utilizing or is listed as having using a ramp with an assistant, it's the bowler, it's the athlete who needs to be doing everything in terms of the direction that the bowling ball is going in. So if they're there, the bowling assistant goes and their back is to the pins, and at the direction of the athlete, the assistant is moving the ramp and aiming it, either because of what the athlete is telling them to do or the motion, however the athlete can communicate. In an extremely rare situation, this should, I don't know that we allowed this at all last year. There wasn't a need for it. But if there's some communication challenge, a significant one, talk to whoever the staff lead there at the venue to see where the assistant can turn around in terms of communicating. That does not allow the assistant to be the person aiming it. Again, if the assistant's aiming the ramp, it's the assistant's skill that's really being tested, and that's reflected in the score, not the athlete's. But you should have been doing this. This is the same rule for several years, and we've been enforcing it pretty strongly for quite some time. This should be not new to anybody at all. And it should be noted there, as is the case, that really rare situation of being able to turn around and in terms of a communication thing, that's not even allowed in the Special Olympics rules. We make that modification in Maryland. Coaching reminders: coaches aren't allowed down in the competition area. That's defined as the area down by the scorers table and the benches where the athletes are. You can provide advice from the spectator area. Please be appropriate and not be shouting things. They can go to their coach, but they can't leave the main area, and it can't result in the delay of a game. So an athlete can't go up and talk to their coach while they're in the middle of a frame. They'll get a 0 pinfall for that frame. Lane courtesy, again, is expected. That includes athletes who use ramps or who use wheelchairs. So if there is an athlete who is approaching on an adjoining lane, wait for that athlete to bowl and then take your turn. Again, you should have been training your athletes with this all season. This is nothing new. It was covered and has been the case, a rule for all season for several seasons. Again, follow the courtesy. I'm not going to go through everything that's in there. Alternates, that really only applies to doubles teams. They needed to be designated ahead of time, not necessarily assigned to a team. There were only a handful of folks who had that, who designated an alternate for a doubles team, and we'll deal with that, but if we need to. But I'm not going to spend everybody's time on that here. Attire, again, proper bowling attire. Again, you should all be very familiar with this. This applies both to the bowlers, athletes and unified partners, as well as any of the assistants or helpers that are assisting ramp bowlers. Those who aren't in a uniform or aren't properly attired will be disqualified. Um, we'll see the thing. The biggest issue has always been slacks or pants. We'll see that on the next slide. Collared shirts must be worn, not t-shirts. Again, need to be wearing bowling shoes that aren't worn outside the venue. You can get bowling shoes there from the desk at each of the venues that are there. Headwear, again, no hats or rimless headwear are permitted, and no headphones. If you have an athlete who has a hearing challenge, we have earplugs that are available. We've had them available for the past several years. No one comes to ask for them, but they are available if that's necessary. Again, attire, slacks, they need to be like Dockers or khakis, not necessarily the color khaki, but that style of pant. Some examples are there on the right. Things that are inappropriate include cutoff shorts, shorts that are above 3 inches above the kneecap, jeans, sweatpants, exercise pants, leggings, boxer shorts that are worn outside, or showing your underwear or your undergarments and such. Again, we will be doing an inspection, but it is, as is noted down at the last bullet there, it is your responsibility as the coach to make sure that your athletes are in the proper attire. If there's any question in your mind, I would contact them tonight or tomorrow and make sure that they're properly dressed. I know several coaches who go so far as to bring extra pairs of appropriate pants of different sizes to have them available there. But an athlete who is not in proper uniform will not be permitted to bowl, and they'll be disqualified. If it's discovered, if somehow we miss something, but it's discovered afterwards, just as with any kind of a protest or whatever, the athlete will still be disqualified and won't be advanced on. So again, it is your responsibility to make sure that they're wearing appropriate attire. This is nothing new. Everybody should be comfortable and fully familiar with this. Steve, before we go into the support services, were there any questions on anything that I covered that popped in? I don't see any raised hands at the moment, but anything in the...
Yeah, there was one, Mike, if you see from Letitia, we can either address that offline, or if you want to go ahead and tackle that while I do the next couple slides.
Yeah, I'll deal with that. Okay.
Okay.
Luckily, Letitia, we have not done the divisioning at your venue, so.
Thanks, Mike. Again, just finishing up here, the support services and administration pieces. As we mentioned earlier, there will be a very brief opening ceremony. Jason Schrimmel, who those of you who know him, working with the Athlete Leadership Program, he is currently in process of finalizing the athletes doing the Pledge of Allegiance, the athlete oath, and the MCs at the different venues. If he's unable to secure an athlete here and there, depending on what the situation is, we may look to ask coaches at that given venue if they have someone who would be appropriate for that. So again, just appreciate your cooperation if we find ourselves in that situation. As a reminder for food services, lunch will not be served to the delegations through Special Olympics Maryland. There is concessions available at each one of the venues, so you're on your own basically for lunch. With that being said, any competitor who purchases lunch from the concessions or whatever and has a delay in their game due to that, that frame will be a zero. So really look at the schedule, look at the competition, and see when the most appropriate time for your athletes to get something to eat would be. As we mentioned earlier, awards will be presented on the lanes. I think there's one location in Gaithersburg. They may do it in the lobby area because it does have space to make that allowance. Otherwise, everything will be on the lanes as far as the awards go. Any late arrivals will be eliminated from the competition unless there are extreme circumstances. So again, make sure everyone's there on time because we will not delay the start. If you have a couple athletes who are running a little behind, again, except for extreme circumstances. If you are aware of anything the morning of, again, talk with your staff lead and that they can work through that situation with you.
Okay, and Steve, just so folks have an idea of what we're talking about with extreme circumstances, I woke up late or whatever. No, that's not. An example that happened a couple years ago, one delegation, I believe it was Calvert County, their bus broke down en route. That's an extreme situation. So it's not, just arriving, or overslept or something like that.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And again, only competition personnel, competitors, and certain volunteers are permitted in the lane area.
There we go.
And advancement to the state finals and state championships. Again, once what we do here is we look at all of the gold medalists from the regional tournaments at each one of the locations. Once we get all those scores and results into the system, we'll be looking at that on Sunday night and Monday. And then all gold medalists will be advancing to the state championships unless the county program tells us otherwise. If they have another commitment or a conflict where they will not be able to go, please let us know so we can fill in the rest of the spots. If there are spaces left over after all the gold medalists have been selected and advanced, we will do a random draw from the silver medalists from the regional tournaments. We'll look to get that out to everyone immediately with that information, and then we ask that you guys respond and confirm that the email has been received and that all of the bowlers who have earned the right to advance will accept those spots. Otherwise, we will move forward and start putting in the alternates from the random draw of the silver medalists. So again, you'll see the email, and the area directors will see those emails coming out most likely on Monday morning, and get all that information out to you guys. Please review that closely so that we don't have any spots that aren't being utilized. We do have the coaches webinar for the championship. It's there at the very bottom of this page. That's the link to that. Again, that is November 27th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. to have a quick recap leading up to the state championships.
Yeah, and actually one other thing, and I don't know why we hadn't done anything before this. One common challenge that we have is we don't know which coaches from your area are going to attend the championship, assuming you have athletes that move on to the championship. So we'll add into this a means for you to tell us who from your coach list to advance on, so that we have a handle on that. That affects lunches and several other things, because we do provide lunch to delegations at the championship bowling on December 2nd.
Again, this is just our general slide, so everyone has it as a reference point. For any questions regarding any of the sports that we offer at the state level, here are the sports directors' information, their email address, and the sports that they oversee. Again, welcome to Zach. Again, just getting started the last couple of days, and look forward to having him with Special Olympics Maryland and meeting everyone out there. Zach and myself will be rotating around to the different venues so that he can meet some of you guys as coaches and the facility representatives and some other of our key leadership volunteers at the county level.
Okay. Looking, I don't see any other questions or any hands raised. If anybody does have any questions, again, you can type it into the question box or raise your hand. This is the last slide that we had to go over. Again, I want to keep it short and sweet. I know everybody's all set and pumped to look at the exciting election coverage tonight, so we don't want to hold you back from that. Annette, your line should be open.
Okay, just a quick question. Can athletes bring food into the venues to eat, or do they have to buy stuff there?
We've never had that question before. I know that the standard policy there is that you're not supposed to. Steve, can we do a base touch with folks? I'm not going to sit here and say that that athletes have not brought food into the the venues before, but I can't sit here and say that it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think unless you hear otherwise, plan on eating at using concessions there. We will take a look and ask that question, but typically they don't allow food to be brought in from outside.
Right. Just wanted to check and make sure, because sometimes some of them need to eat before and there's some issues, but
Yeah,
you can make them sit in the car and eat first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and also if there's a health related like a blood sugar issue or something like that, I'm sure
Right.
that there's some flexibility on that end. But
Okay.
so I'm surprised we hadn't had that question before. A great question.
Yeah, thanks, Annette. I mean, again, just while Mike's looking to see if there's any other questions, in the meantime, as always, we appreciate all the hard work that all of you guys as coaches put in throughout the season with the practices and training, preparing the athletes and partners to showcase their skills here at the state and regional tournaments. So we don't say that matter of factly. We really, truly appreciate it. Obviously, without you guys, we don't have a program to run. So again, from a sincere point of view from Special Olympics Maryland, we appreciate everything you guys do, and we look forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, looking at the questions, the only thing that came in was actually as we were answering your next question, Franco, who was very involved with the Ellicott City venue, essentially confirmed what we said in terms of if there's a medical situation and such. But otherwise, they really don't want that, and we want to keep them happy. They do a nice job. They're very helpful in making the event a great day. So, thanks. Okay, I don't see anything else. So, thank you again. Just to echo Steve. Actually, while we're here, since we actually do let our new staff say something occasionally, but Zach, do you want to at least say hi to folks?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Hi, guys. Again, my name is Zach Cintron. Like Steve alluded to, I have a little background with Special Olympics. I worked for Southern California for a few years, and while I was in college in Philadelphia, I worked for Special Olympics Pennsylvania for almost 2 years as well. But I have some Special Olympics background, but I'm excited to start working with you guys, learn a little bit about more of what Maryland does, and we'll be rocking and rolling. But I'll lean on a lot of you guys as coaches too to hear about things that need to happen, things from your end as well. Because when I was in Southern California, I worked at a regional level, so I can feel your pains at time of working up to the chapter level as well. So I want to have good communication with you guys, and we'll make everything happen from there.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So again, last call for any questions. And seeing none, once again, thank you to everybody. Steve, any last thoughts?
No, again, just thanks everyone, and look forward to having a great competition.
Okay, look forward to seeing many. Well, Steve, you and Zach will get to see most people. I'll get to see the folks at Ellicott City on Sunday. Thanks again.
We apologize